A quick introduction to who Wrenchway is, in case you're not familiar. Our mission as a company is to promote and improve technician careers. And having these conversations, I think, helps the likelihood that we have good, successful technician careers in the industry, and are always fun for us to talk about. We've got some different solutions for shops out there, but really the School Connect piece is what our resource for schools to be able to help folks out. And everything we do for schools is free, right? We want to, I guess, core to the mission of our company, be able to promote and improve the industry. And the only way we can do that is if we have good, satisfied people coming out of our schools, right? And really setting them up for good opportunities as they're coming out. So we have a tool called School Connect. It's really easy to use, no obligation, free tool where you are able to ask for things, right? So you can ask for something such as a speaker or a donation or a job shadow or apprenticeship opportunity, whatever it might be that you need in your program. This is a really good tool to be able to put that out and have industry kind of come calling for it, right? And really help you out. That's one of the things that we take a lot of pride in, is being able to bring that industry support to your program. So do us a favor and go check that out. And then lastly, we've got a quick poll question. Would you like us to create a free account for your school? And Kayla, I think you'll put that out for us. Okay. As we're doing that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to introduce our panelists and get rolling today. I'm excited to have three people from the industry who I very much respect, who run really, really good programs, and I think will bring a lot of insight into this conversation. And I think it's something that, as we talk about how we partner with industry, it's one of those things where we just have to get better, and that is setting students up for success in the industry when they leave the school. So, gentlemen, I'll have you introduce yourselves. Buddy, if you wouldn't mind, a little bit about yourself and the program that you're representing.
Sure. I've been in education for about 47 years now. I was a high school coach for 34 of those years. When I left that, it was a sad day, but I knew it was time to move forward. I find myself at JTech doing the same thing I did, except it's not in a gym or on a field. We're constantly coaching students, coaching them and encouraging them, lifting them up. But I do oversee the Career Services Department, which we start with students as they come in. We have to kind of reprogram their mindset a little bit. And we have three different age groups, really. We have a lot coming out of high school, coming straight into JTech. We have our second group would be our re-career group. After COVID, we got hit pretty heavy with that, as I'm sure everybody has. Those wanting to re-career. And then the last group is our military. Jackson was a military town. And we do get a lot of military that come in and go to school, sometimes for one program, sometimes for two programs. And so that's pretty much, that. And then working now on developing some other spinoffs of the Career Services Department, exactly based on this subject we're talking about today. So that's why I'm excited to be here.
Buddy, what did you coach?
Coach football and basketball.
In Florida?
Yes, down south.
So you had some pretty good athletes out of there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yes, sir. I was very fortunate. I had a lot of good ones.
Good for you. Good for you. Our other Florida attendee, John Gardner, would you mind introducing yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm John Gardner. Yeah, I graduated through an ASEP program, Automotive Service Excellence program, way back when. Been teaching now for 27 years. Did it at the high school level, did it at the technical level. Now I'm at the college level. Same thing, just watching the change, watching what's going on. Perfect opportunity right now to kind of get an understanding of how to set up students for success, because we see what's going on out there and we see a big shift in the industry. So I'm excited to be on here. I also host Tech Garage, Motorhead Garage, and Vicari Auction on Motor Trend, and the auction on CBS. So got a little lucky there and get to do some fun stuff on the weekends and nights. So stay pretty busy, but my bread and butter is right here at the college teaching. Love it. It's a passion. Wouldn't ever do anything else. Don't have one regret, man. I have 3 more years till I retire, and I'll probably stay even more than that.
Good for you. And anybody that hasn't caught John's show, you're living under a rock. But if you haven't, it is an incredible show, does such a good job at breaking down things. And I think as we look and try to get more people into the industry, that's a show that can help capture the attention of somebody that might not normally be interested in our industry. So kudos to everything that you're doing out there, John. Some really, really cool stuff. Lastly, but not least, Mr. Miles Tolkien. Miles, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. So great to be here. So yeah, my name is Miles Tokheim. I'm a high school automotive instructor of a large comprehensive high school. We are ASE certified, and we've got a large contingent of kids involved in Skills USA. And a part of that Skills USA is our motorsports program. The kids really build and fabricate race cars and get on the track. Is showing awesome excitement in our industry. And then a big part of that is being ASE certified and all the business people that we work with to support the kids in the program.
Miles and I had a really good conversation yesterday about the Madison School District as a whole. So he's in our backyard in Madison, Wisconsin. And one of the challenges, and this I think will be another topic of conversation for another day, but I bring it up to hopefully as we get educators on here, spread the word, is they've got a lack of teachers, right? They need some teachers in the Madison area, and we're starting to see that more and more throughout the industry. Something that we should probably have a pretty serious conversation on, because there's a real challenge in finding educators in our field. And that's putting us at an even larger deficit than we were ever at before, when we don't have the educators to fill these roles. So if you do hear of a teacher that wants to come to Madison, Wisconsin and teach some automotive classes, make sure to reach out to Miles, and I'm sure he'd be happy to talk with you. All right, so topic of the day, setting students up for success in our industry. I'm going to start with a stat that we like to use from our friends at the ASE Education Foundation, which is roughly 42% of technicians are no longer in the industry within the first couple of years of being in it. That's a really alarming stat, because it doesn't show that we're supporting our students enough when they're coming into industry. And I think there's some level of frustration on everybody's part, right? If we're getting these students in and we're training them and we're bringing them into the industry, but they're not sticking, we need to figure out why. And John, I want to start with you. Do you have any insight as to why we struggle with this so much as an industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, that is a staggering number. I mean, they go to school for 2 years, 1,800 hours, and then almost half of them are getting out real quickly. So there's just, we just really need to change in this industry. There's so much going on. I mean, we're still, we use that term, throwing them to the wolves. I mean, we have to get mentorship and apprentice programs. We turn these students loose. The dealers need to make money. I get it, but putting them on flat rate right away is death. I mean, that's just, they just can't do it. I mean, you have to have some kind of, maybe a little bit less salary, maybe a little bit less money, but give them that apprenticeship, that mentor role. I mean, doctors go out there and they intern for a year. I mean, we're going to have to set up some kind of intern where these guys are going out there, girls, no matter what it is, and working on cars, kind of an internship. And then the instructors have to understand, well, maybe that's going to have to be built into the program to where they understand they may be only making $10 or $12, but it's a continuation of school. Keep moving them on, get them in there and do that. That's a big thing. And, there's several factors. Another one I can think of is just, the advisory boards getting involved with the program and knowing the students. I think a lot of times it's over expectations of the students. I mean, if our program may have 2 cars and it may be a, 2016, whatever it is, HHR, and unless they're working on HHRs, they're not going to be successful. We're going to give them the ethics. We're going to give them the basics. We're going to give them the wrench turning skills. But when they go out there, bam, all of a sudden they're hit with all this different things. And, in 2 years, even though we're giving them all the ethics and the theory, it's back in their head. They're going to excel over the years. They're going to excel very rapidly. But to start out, their light line, their basic, basically between them and somebody carrying a set of tools is not a lot of difference. The difference is 2 or 3 years down the road, when you start mentoring them, they flourish. They do really, really good, which the guy just walking in carrying tools don't. And, last but not least, I mean, nobody wants to hear it, but pay. I mean, right now, students have to choose $15 at Starbucks or $15 to turn wrenches. And unfortunately, Starbucks is winning.
Yeah. And I mean, the competition for that young person has skyrocketed. There's a lot of really good opportunities, and a lot of those opportunities don't require any thought, right? Like they can go in and make money and maybe not have the pressure of being in a shop and maybe not beating their body up so much. And I think that those are real issues that we see in terms of being able to get people interested in this industry and keeping them here. Buddy, I'm curious as to whether you have the same experience as what John does.
Absolutely. We took pages out of each other's book. What we're seeing here is, fortunately, I had the opportunity to be out and to sit down with employers, or to have a group of 12, 15 employers into the school. We'll have them for lunch, and we will pick specific topics, or allow them to pick 3 topics before they get here. And my challenge for them is, you come with these topics, which we've discussed 2 of them at least already. Come with these topics, but come with 2 or 3 ideas of how we can overcome in the industry. And basically, that has nothing to do with PAC meetings or everything. It's just school, career services, reaching out with employers bringing them together. Some of these guys we've never seen, and some of these ladies we've never seen on campus before. But I sent out an email a while back, probably last year, at the end of last year. I said, do you want to continue to build a pipeline, or do you just want to turn it off and forget about it? And I got some reaction real quick. They said, are y'all going out of business? Y'all aren't going to have students anymore. I said, well, now that I got your attention, let's talk about it. And we did a couple of those, and they come in with some amazing ideas. And for us, it was getting to the employers. And I love the statement that John made about the students are expecting, the pay. He's exactly right. I've had more students than not go to McDonald's, because McDonald's is paying 15 or 16 an hour, and they're giving scholarships.
Right.
And they know they're going to lose them. So am I going to stand there or sit there at a career services office and tell them you can get 50% of your tuition paid for? And some of them will go in there and they'll say, yeah, but I'll make sure I'm stay in school. I'll make sure 6th term I'll drop out of McDonald's and go full time. And I always tell them, you're leaving money on the table, because you're coming in without a ton of experience over the last several months or last year or 2.
Miles, as we transition to the high school side of things, and hearing what they're saying on the tech school side, is that an accurate reflection of what you're seeing on the high school side as well?
Yes, for sure. And I think that, the key component for high school kids especially is keeping it exciting. We get the kids out on job shadows to kind of experiment, see what's out there. And then from there, we work with the employers to hire them in our youth apprenticeship program. And, the key with high school students is that, yes, they're going to start on the quick lube and the lube racks and oil changes. And that we usually let them in there for 3-4 months to get a good handle on what they know. But I think the key after that is, every couple of weeks, you've got to get them in the shop, working with a technician as a mentor, and really building their capacity and their learning. And then that just builds the excitement, and really showing them what this career path is, and the opportunities, because there's tons of opportunities. But the key is that you can't leave them in that quick lube setting for too long. You've got to start to get them that exposure, and it has to be regular, and then I think that's the biggest key that I see with the high school kids.
How do you make sure the right high school kids are getting into it, right? Like, not everybody's made for this industry, nor are they made for any industry. Not everybody, you can't be everything to everybody. But when you look at it, how do you really understand which ones might truly have a future in this industry? Miles, I'll go back to you on that.
Man, it's at the high school level, it's pretty easy to see the mechanical ability that the students have. They don't need to have any knowledge per se, background knowledge, but when they come in with that mechanical ability and the excitement, I mean, that's really the key for them. And once you start to show them the opportunities and what's available, they really take off with it. We give them the opportunities to get on these job shadows. They're the ones that are pushing it. Get them out to the dealerships, the independents, and let them kind of try out for a day and see what it's like. And it's kind of like a mini interview. And then the student picks, okay, this is where I want to go. And then we make it work for them.
That exposure at a young age is so important. So they not only know if it's a good fit for them, but maybe if it's not a good fit for them. You don't want them going down this path and spending a bunch of money on school if it's not right for them. But sometimes it takes maybe a little bit more difficult conversation with an individual that might desire that, but maybe not have the mechanical aptitude. But it also is just, like you said, the interest. Are they actually interested in it? Because if they get in and there's not a fit for them, maybe in the shop, there are lots of opportunities in this industry for that person that desires to be a part of it. Now, John, do you look at this and one of the challenges that I see on the tech school side is fulfilling your enrollment numbers, and you do such a great job at that maybe you don't feel the pressures that other tech schools do, but fulfilling your enrollment numbers without overpromising what you're going to get when you come out, right? Like I do see that from a variety of different schools across the nation of maybe overpromising that a little bit. How do you manage expectations while also building excitement into your program?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we lay it out right at the beginning. I mean, we have been fortunate with enrollment, but I've been there without it as well. So, I mean, it's almost unpredictable. But, we tell them day one. I mean, we're going to tell them, I'm going to try to get advisory members in and maybe from some rough shops in town that, this is not Fantasyland. I mean, this is a tough job. I mean, you're going to sweat, you're going to cut, and we really, I mean, I tell every one of my students, and it kind of goes along with this fact of 43%. I said, listen, here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave here and state of Florida and Buddy helped me out here. But I mean, we got 2 years, 1,800 hours. I mean, that's just too much. That's too much curriculum. I've been trying to work with them, to cut that down. I know they have 1,100 hour program now, but they need to be matching that with shop time. I mean, they come in here and after 2 years, they're almost burnt out. And then by the time they go to the shop, so we need to work together with that, but just to get them on track and paint that reality right off the bat. So, they're either going to come in or they're not going to come in. We'd rather not. We'd rather, like you said, if I want to set them up for success, I don't want them to sit in here just because of my numbers. And that is a fine line. I know schools are skating with that every day. I mean, that's a tough thing to do, but just paint it right up front. Let the advisory members come in. Maybe if you can get them out there and shadowing real quick, let them see what it's all about, that it's not Fantasyland. It's a tough industry. It's tough to make a living. I mean, but on the flip side of that, you also have to show them that there are $100,000 techs out there. So, you got to let them make their decision. We have dual enrolled as well. So we're dealing with the high school guys as well, trying to look at these other guys and saying, is this what they want to do? But like I was saying, I'm sorry. I cut those guys loose and I tell them every single year, I said, here's what's going to happen. You're going to graduate. You're going to go out there and work. You're going to come back in the first 3 months. And you're going to curse me. You're going to tell me, hey, that was the worst decision in the world. Why'd you tell me all this stuff? Why didn't you leave me along for 2 years? But if you stick it out for 6 to 8 months, then you come back in a year and you're eating lunch. You're going, man, this is the best job in the whole world. But it happens every single time.
Yeah.
Buddy, you want to add to that?
Definitely. Looking at overpromising, that starts when I first came about 4 years ago. I saw it starting with our admissions team, because they are trying to drive numbers. They're trying to get people in the seats and get people in the seats. So I kept some statistics, and I would meet with the admissions director, the vice president, and say, hey, look, this stuff I just want to look at. I'm not accusing anybody, because I had worked in admissions myself right out of college. And I said, I know how that adrenaline gets to going, and you got to get them in here. You got to get your numbers. And so we started creating some things. We created a couple of policies of where they're not allowed to discuss salaries of anybody, of any employer that we have. They're not allowed to even give out the list of employers. Now, we have some display boards that we have employers listed around the school. If they do that, they call myself or one of my staff. They can come in and say, yes, there are students that have graduated and are making anywhere from 70,000, 80,000 a year. And there are some that have gone over the 6-figure mark. Now, to do that, there's a hard road. After we did that, we started getting a more positive feedback. We did lose a couple, but we were going to lose those anyway.
Yes.
Because they did not, it just was not healthy. But moving on, we backed up and looked at some guidelines. Okay, how do we avoid that? And I know this sounds silly. We have just really brought the students in, and we're bringing alumni back now. Our alumni will come and speak at orientation. The alumni that's very successful, and then the alumni that's 6 months in. And like John said, they're going to come back and want to beat you up some days. And so we get them both. We get both sides of it, and we let them do the talking. We introduce them, class of whatever, go for it. And it's them, and they know that it's not no planned speech from the administration. But there's one question I want to ask is, we talked about the mechanical ability, which I see that they come in, the glitz and the glamour and all this stuff. Yeah, and you got all these cool cars around. But is there any way, I know in athletics, I could go into a gym or a football field, and I can tell you within 15 or 20 minutes, that kid's got it. They've got the movement, they got the cuts, they've got the reads, all this good stuff. I spent too long on the field. But the thing is there a way, is there a test or something even that could be developed that would give us at least a sense when they come through admissions of what their mechanical ability is? I don't know.
John, I'm actually going to go right back to you, because I think when you talk about, and this kind of goes to all three of you, but I'll start with John. I think some of that comes down to your industry relationships in general, and being able to be on the same page as them. You talk about advisory committee meetings, and really what you're talking about, whether it's a test or it's some type of gauging some type of mechanical aptitude, I think that's where having such good communication with your advisory committee and the advisory committee members in the shops that you're participating actively with, and getting good actual feedback from them can be so important. Because I don't know if there is, and John, I don't want to speak for you, but to answer Buddy's question, is there a way to kind of see that magic out on the field? Or is it more just having a good relationship with your advisory committee and knowing where these kids are going to work?
Yeah, there's not. I mean, I was, when I first started, maybe the first 5 years or so, I would love that, let's put some blocks together and see who can do what. But, over the years, I've seen students that, I guess like the football analogy, maybe he didn't have it. And then after 2 years, he comes around and has it. But,
True.
I try to never give up on anybody. But the point here is that it's a long program, and watching them and watching what they're doing and knowing what they're doing, you're the only one reading them. I try to get the advisory members here as much as they can, and once again, bring the expectations down. I'm showing them that. So there are no tests. There's no way to really tell. But like I said, there's so many different avenues in this industry too. So, I may have that guy that can't turn wrenches really well. And I have a lot of them. I have guys, we're out of college. So, we call it down the hill. They'll come down from academics, and, they're very, very intelligent as far as, numbers or mathematics and English skills and stuff. And then all of a sudden they make a phenomenal service writer, or I have guys come in here with learning disabilities that, man, this guy's never going to turn a wrench, but the dealership needs the detailers. I mean, I just try to really match them up with their motor skills. Some of them not so good, some have ethics, some don't. I'm finding more and more and more that these shops are just asking me more for ethics than motor skills, which, kind of changed around, and the generation has changed. I mean, we got kids in here 10 years ago, and I'm sure you guys have too, that, work with their dads on cars. I got kids sitting in here today that goes, I want to try it. I don't know. I don't have a car. I don't even know how to start a car. So it's like, you really just have to, it's changing. And I think industry has to change as well and see that, and just, back to that mentorship.
Are you seeing them, John, the shops maybe be more patient or approachable in that regard? Maybe with that student that doesn't necessarily have the background, but has the desire, maybe the patience to be able to bring them along and mentor them?
I am now, and the only reason why, I mean, this is the first time us three and all the rest of the schools are in the driver's seat. I mean, I got 15 jobs on my desk. I mean, you don't want to come hang out here. You don't want to interact with them. Then they're not going to go with you. I mean, it's simple as that. I mean, this is a great time for automotive instructors. This is a great time for automotive programs. I mean, I got 5 calls a day, send me anybody. And, so they are. And that's when we pitch it, well, then you're going to have to be a lot more patient. You're going to have to work with them. You're going to have to do A, B, C, and D, the mentorship, the pay. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, I like that you don't discuss salaries, but these kids are calling them up. I mean, they're on Facebook chats together, and my student gets hired at BMW in Tallahassee for $25 an hour. And then locally, they want to give them 10. So everybody's leaving town. I mean, they know, they talk to each other. So they know what's going on out there and who's paying, but it's just a matter of just, working with them. You got to work with them. And yes, they are being way, way more tolerant. I don't think they have a choice.
That is so many good points right there. And I think one of the funny things you bring up is so many shops are resistant to talk about salary, or be able to share their salary and be transparent about it. And we actually had a roundtable similar to this with students. And I had asked that question, how often do you guys share your information? And literally 100% of the time they go in and it's like they have a loud microphone that they just shout it to the rest of the class. So as much as we try to hold that in our back pocket, shops that are listening out there, we've got to be a little bit more transparent, and we've got to look in the mirror a little bit more. If we're just not competitive and you put yourself in that student's shoes, why would you go work in the automotive industry or diesel industry, whatever it might be? If you're having to talk about that and almost in an unprideful way, there's got to be some things that need to change there. So, Miles, I don't know if you had anything to add there onto what Buddy and John were saying, but again, I just always like to get the high school perspective in this, because while it is different, I do think there's probably a lot of similarities.
Oh, it is for sure. But I think the key is that the employers need to understand, you're growing your technicians. You start at that high school level, you get these kids excited, you get them employed, you start them off. And then we have a wonderful relationship with our technical college here in Madison that really supports the student, and the dealerships are supporting the students. And it is, I hate to call it a seamless path, but it is a very clear path that the students see and understand and see how they can progress as they get older, I think.
Did you see any of that leverage shift that John was talking about, where as shops needed technicians more and more, that maybe all of a sudden they're willing to help out a little bit more?
Yes. Yeah, they all are. And any phone call you make, they're more than willing to help. The struggle is especially in the high school level right now, is that there's just so many outside things that are put on us as teachers right now. It's hard to really have the time and to really get out to all these businesses, but we need the help.
Yeah. And Miles, you and I had a really good discussion on that yesterday. And there are so many challenges, especially coming out of COVID, for high school instructors to be able to manage the relationships, to be able to stay on top of those relationships, on top of educating their students. And I do not envy any educators that had to go through COVID and try to run a class. That was a different kind of challenge that I don't think any of you ever thought you'd sign up for when you come into this profession. So I appreciate all the work you guys did navigating through those paths as we went through that. I want to talk about now, we talked about the industry support. Obviously, we need to have those relationships. We need to have industry involved. The leverage has shifted to where schools do have some say now, whereas in the past, it was, I think, at times an afterthought. But I think that's a beautiful thing. And to John's point, being able to leverage that into more mentorship type opportunities. So when they're coming into a shop, that they are, they're taken care of. There's a path for them. There's a way for them to maybe have a more successful career in this business. Buddy, you guys have one of the best dealerships in the nation that I've seen with Bozard Ford, and how they bring technicians in and be able to run them through a program. Are you starting to see maybe more adaptation from that regard, from the mentorship, and maybe having more formalized processes to bring a young person along?
I would say that in your larger dealerships, like Bozard, There's several others. George Moore Chevrolet's come on board with a whole new pay scale that was not just pay. It was, you had to really do some incentives. You had to take further education that they provided, which I'm all for that. But yes, I'm seeing about a 50% split on that. There's some that are still old school. We get out some of the rural areas. No, you're going to make this, you're going to make that. But what's crazy is those students and some of your outlying schools here in Northeast Florida, those students don't change jobs as fast. The ones in the big city, oh, there's another dealership down in the next corner. And so they will jump. And so we, it's kind of hard to grasp it when you have dealerships that are at that gold level. And like the one you referred to, they're amazing. We got several of those here that we're fortunate to work with. But then you get some that cannot provide the training, cannot provide the oversight, cannot provide the facilities alone that are safe, that are modern, cannot provide the tools and aids that they need. It makes it tougher for them. It really does.
I agree. And we work with a lot of independent shops as well, right? And I had a really good client of ours that has an independent shop, and he had voiced that frustration to me in being able to come up with a program and maybe not having the resources to be able to put something together, or, whether it's the manpower to be able to actually have a mentor. He in his case, did a phenomenal job at taking the mentors under his wing as an owner. But do you see opportunities for maybe that independent shop or maybe that fleet that's not the traditional dealership to get better at this?
Absolutely. We've been very fortunate to have a huge relationship with Napa, and they do that really well. And I've challenged them. Darren and Vic with Jasper.
They're great people.
Have done the same thing. Those guys are my, Vic, they're just my champions. I was having lunch with Vic just a few days ago, and it's amazing of how we've identified. And it's harder to place sometimes because here they could be an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and we get their information. I've finally got the mom and pop shops, whatever. I have finally got them to where they'll send me a little paragraph about what they're looking for. Used to send me a text, but we're now getting details. And I got a guy sitting here, 5th term, he's ready to go. And now that they've seen that, and we've had them on campus, you don't keep them long because they're one of the only ones in their shop. You get them here, you feed them, you take them on a tour, show them what we're doing. Let them meet the students that are geographically in the area. There's no reason for them to see the other 450 students. Let them come in and see those students that are geographically in their area, and we set up a lunch with them. They interact. They know each other. They know some family that knows them or whatever. It's broken down those walls of, I'm independent. We're not doing anything different, and bonding the independents, bonding them together. Where was it at? It was in Alachua County this past year. We had 5 different independent shops come together, and the city was doing some kind of festival day. They all set up together and advertise their business, and we called it Racetrack Row or whatever, because you got the Gainesville Raceway there. It was a lot of fun. I went down and hung out with them for the day, and it was a lot of fun. So we're crossing those old bridges, and this is my territory. Stay out of it. So they are, breaking them down. I see hope. I really do see hope, because they've got to have help.
Well, and you hit on a couple really key points. One, a little plug for Jasper Engines and Transmissions. They're a great partner of ours, and what Darren Damron does down there in the Southeast is second to none. He really cares about this industry, cares about making partners and really doing it the right way. But then the second thing I would bring up is there are a lot of, it's easy for an independent shop to say, oh, this is just not, the dealers have this. I can't get involved with the tech school. And what you did right there, buddy, was kind of break down those walls so it wasn't so intimidating. And I commend you to the highest degree, because I think there are so many schools that could learn from that. There are so many independent shops that are out there. If you looked at rooftops, independent versus dealer, there's a lot of independent shops out there, right? So rather than just disregarding them and not, paying the attention to them that they need, you actually taking the initiative to go out and welcome them with open arms, just like you would a dealer. A lot of respect to you for doing that. That's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Just one thing that we've learned and learned the hard way, you get a lot of students. The last 3 terms, we've had anywhere from 28% to 33% of our students in that particular term that come in want their own business. They're not going to go to a dealership and learn how to buy a dealership tomorrow. They need that. That's when it hit me, buddy. You need these independents bad. And so while they're here, I have them start off at a tire and lube shop or whatever, or a dealership. And then I move them eventually. And I tell the dealer that this is what I'm doing. I move them to the independent shop. And then I give them, they have another year or so to work that out. And they learn not only just the business of it. And I tell the owner, hey, he wants to have his own business. I've had 2 now that graduated from here that took over the business they went to work 4 years ago.
Wow.
Within the last year. And we share that story. And so when we have students come in, they may want to start off with a mobile service truck. We have packets now that talk about LLC. We talk about all that. It's not a legally binding packet, but we have a couple of attorneys that they can go and see if they have questions like that. But yeah, that's a big nugget of gold that we just struck recently, and it's there waiting on all of us. But it's the only negative of that. I'm one person, and trying to get around to all the different shops is tough. So, because you may have 30 shops between here and Gainesville.
Yeah, I think you hit on a really excellent point. John, do you have anything to add to that? I think that's kind of a unique perspective in general, but interested in what you're seeing in your program.
No, it's incredible. I'm stealing that, buddy. No, that's
Please,
awesome.
please
And,
do.
just like Buddy said, part-time, they're going to have to, that's a hard thing for shops to do too, is bring these guys in part-time sometimes where we work with them and they're not just trying to jump ship and go over there right now. And, the logistics, we're still dealing in the state of Florida with, governmental issues and Pell Grants, and these students get paid. And, we still haven't broken down those walls to where the Pell people want them in this seat here, no matter what, for 1,800 hours. So, it's hard. It's hard to get them out of here. It's hard to do what Buddy says, get them over to the shop and do some time over there, kind of set up a passport system, maybe where we can go over. But if you're one person and you're trying to get to 13 shops, that's not an easy thing to do. But that's incredible, Buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah. A lot of these guys today, the students are brilliant. So, they got the ability and the know-how to open up their own business and do their own thing. And a lot of them say it at the beginning. I'm like, yeah, just go out in the shop and see if you like it, but Buddy, you're right. You open up my eyes. Great point.
Thank you.
Miles, again, going back to the high school side, do you see any benefit in what Buddy and John just had to talk about here?
Yes, for sure. Every kid's different and they all have their own different path. I love the concept of the entrepreneurship side. I haven't thought of that. So I will definitely bring that in. Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't say no. That was garbage. That would have been very awkward on all parts. Let's talk about the students themselves. We talked about the school, the shop. When we're looking at giving a young person advice that wants to come into our industry, and really with the mindset that we want them to be successful, what do you tell them? And Miles, I'm going to start with you on this, and really being able to talk to these young people and help them get an understanding of what our industry is, maybe the challenges they might come across, but maybe why it's a good industry for somebody to seriously consider.
I just kind of focus on, there's just so many opportunities in the transportation fields. Like, I never thought it'd be I never thought I was going to be a teacher ever. That was never my path. My path was, I wanted to be a technician. But there's just so many routes you can go. And, with the students, we talk about, the opportunities in small engine and the commercial side and the diesel side, and even on the construction, the fleet. There's just so many opportunities. And, that's only on the technician side. And getting the sales, the accounting, there's just so many pieces that if they have a foundation, they can really build from that. And it's exciting when I hear where these kids are going in the future.
And if they can lay down the foundation, I mean, that can take them a long way. And I started off as a technician, albeit not a great one. And it really, I went through a piece of my career in trucking. I went through a piece of my career in construction and the construction equipment and automotive. So it was kind of a bunch of a mixed bag of things, but foundationally, there's a lot of things that transfer and you're able to pick up and learn because of the foundation, and that sets you up for long-term success. So I appreciate that advice, buddy. What advice would you give to a young person?
Wow. To come in with an open mind, do your research, really do your research. Talk to people that are already in the industry that you can trust. Don't talk to a salesperson. Talk to someone you can trust. Just really those three basic things. And then if you have those opportunities, if not, come see me and I'll set it up. Even before they admit it, because I don't want a student to come and stop, because it can discourage them in so many different other avenues in their life. But have them go and visit, spend a day, in a dealership, spend a day at a shop. They can't really work, but at least let them see it in real life. And any student I've ever done it with came back and knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, yes, this is what I want to do, or no, I really don't. But I love what I believe it was John that said, what we're wanting to expand on even more. And this is going to come on our PAC meeting next round. What other jobs do you have? I know what they are, but I want the employers to start saying it out loud so they can hear it. Everybody coming in my door is not a technician. Why not hire somebody as a service writer? Hire somebody specifically as in parts. Don't take and hire them as a technician. Oh, they don't work out. Well, you can go to parts or you can go over here. No, start creating specialists in that. And we've done that 2 or 3 times with a couple of dealerships, and they have shined like heroes. I mean, they have just gone, because I bet him a lunch. I said, I'll buy you lunch at any steakhouse in town, but you let me try 3 or 4 students, let them pick the one. They already had 3 of them on my mind to go in and do that. One is now his assistant HR director, a young lady that worked on the front counter. She was a rule follower from day one. She was very intelligent. The other 2 were parts, organizational fanatics. And the last one was a service writer. He's had the highest sales. He was there 3 months. And after that, he's had the highest sales for the last 7 months.
What I love about what you just said there, buddy, is it takes maybe the conversation away from focusing solely on salary, where maybe a school might feel the pressure to embellish a little bit, and puts it on something that's realistic and something that, you can go a number of different routes. And there's so many opportunities in this industry if you put the work in. And that's not lying to them. That's being very a matter of fact with them. And the fact that you have the shops actually talk about the different opportunities they might have in their shops is, I think, just an outstanding piece of advice here that a lot of schools could take home and use, because I do think that's really, really important. And it's realistic, right? It's not embellishing. It's not misleading. It's true, hitting them between the eyes on these are the real opportunities. John, how about you? Advice for those young folks that are out there?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on it a little bit before. I mean, the alumni, these guys love to come back. They love to show off. They love to talk about the industry, and you bring those guys back. And that's the first thing I tell them, hey, it's rough out there, right? Oh yeah, it's rough out there. Here's what we're doing. It's tough. And get them out there and let them go. And it's changed. When we were techs, the guy would pull up with his toolbox and we'd all stand around and watch and laugh and see if he had enough coordination to get it out of the back of his truck with the lift all by himself. And, we would walk over there and help him. And, doctors have consortiums and the shops are doing the same thing now. They're really going to have to create that environment of a team effort and get these kids. He wants to go in the automotive program. Well, you should have a good relationship with your advisory board. Go spend an hour over there, 2 hours. hours, walk around, you know, you may be so intimidated, you don't want to do it. And just like Buddy said, it's okay. You know, I'd rather have quality than quantity, just because I don't want to sit a kid in here and then waste 6 months of his life. I mean, but there are so many avenues. It's unbelievable. So, you know, you guys already said it all. Just open up those avenues, get them over there. Have you even walked through a shop? Do you even know what a shop looks like? I mean, you know, check some of this out, do some of the research, and, you know, and we have that available too. I mean, we have the career paths and all that stuff, but, you know, the counselor pitching it may not be the best choice, you know, unless they're really involved with your program. So you're stuck doing that as well. But it's important that you get them in there and they know what they're up against, especially if they're going to spend 2 years in your program.
Great stuff. What I want to finish with here, and if anybody that's out there listening has a question, feel free to go ahead and put that in and we'll address it. But one of the biggest issues I see in our industry, and I want to talk, John, I'll stay with you on this, is confidence in a young person, right? Confidence in going into a shop. Shops are not the most warm and friendly places to go at times. A lot of times it can be very intimidating to go into. And we've all been in those shoes as a young person going into a workplace, and how awkward and uncomfortable that can be. How do we start to maybe help get them confidence, help, you know, when we talk about setting them up for success in their career, I think that confidence is such a big thing. How do we get them the confidence they need to go into that shop atmosphere in what could be a really uncomfortable situation, to help them swim, right? To help them make it.
Yeah, I mean, we're coaches, exactly what he said, whether it's football or automotive. I mean, you know, it's our job. That's it, to lift up and edify these kids every chance of the way. I mean, we celebrate almost everything they do. I mean, you know, and we tell them right up front, you know, if you're breaking a tool, we're going to celebrate you. Don't feel bad about it. You're using them. That's great. You break some of these cars, we're going to celebrate it. I want your hands out of your pocket. I want you working on it. I don't want you to be intimidated. I don't want you to be afraid. Now, do we tell them, hey, you go in these shops, you put your head down, shut up, and just listen and learn? You know, we teach listening skills, we teach communication, we teach all the ethics. I mean, that's so important: etiquette, dress, attitude. And we set them up that, you know, you're going out there, you're going into this wolves, you're going into places where, you know, perhaps they're just a little slow on work on Friday and they're not happy you're there. So, you know, be quiet, listen, and, you know, just help when you can help. And we make sure we practice all that, knowing they're going in there with this 43% rate of, you know, they're going to be intimidated, but it's just a matter of coaching, lifting them up and edifying. When they leave here, they feel bigger than every day. I mean, it's a party here every day when we have it. And that's our goal. I mean, if we're lifting up and edifying these students, then that's good enough. We can give them those ethics. I think it's a win.
The listening skills. I think you would talk to every shop across the country, and that would be one of the skills that they would desire the most out of anything, is being able to listen, and listen to understand, not listen just to, you know, just to make it look like you're listening. Actually try to understand. Wow. What great advice there, John. That is incredible. Buddy, anything you'd like to add to that?
Just to add to that, that was awesome, John. I've set up a three-pronged approach to do that. And basically it's different voices, but same message all the way through. And he said it, lifting them up, encouraging them. I seek out, or I have my instructors to help seek out a mentor in a class. If you see one that's really struggling, maybe a little shy coming in, even at the admissions level and orientation, we start setting up trying to find a mentor. It may be one of our military guys or somebody like that, but someone that may be a year or two older. Set up mentoring with them. Second one is instructor. Instructors got to identify with me within the first couple of weeks of what students looks like the quiet one that's going to shrink into the back of the class, because I do tour through the labs and I see them and I'll mark them out. I'll pull them over to the side. Hey man, how you doing? Let's get up front on the fire. Let's find out what's going on. And then the last one is, and that helps by not calling them out in an embarrassing way, but encouraging them to join in. And then I'll make a note to the instructors, hey, Scotty's been in the back of the line over here for a couple of weeks now. And then the employer, let the employer know, you know, this guy's very, you know, withdrawn. He's here. He's good. He's got great grades. He wants to get it. Because, and I've never had an employer get frustrated with me. They say, hey, thanks for letting me know that. And they turn out to be outstanding techs. But that's the only way. It's got to be a three-pronged approach. We've all got to be involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no doubt. I mean, that's that relationship once again with the shops, with the industry. We know we have some students that are super quiet and, you know, well, they're going to go with that mom and pop shop. They'll be a lot more comfortable than at that dealership setting. So, you know, at 2 years, you really just, it's one big old family. So you learn these kids, you learn your advisory members, and you try to match them up, and, you know, you have that open relationship so they can call you and just said, you know, we're not going to down them, but we're going to say, hey, we're not getting along with this kid. Great. We'll send you some more. Let's make it happen. We want success. So yeah, awesome point.
Miles, confidence in high school kids.
Yeah, I mean, obviously employability skills are just hammered into these students every day in class, but a lot of it, in my case, really comes from our Skills USA teams. You know, through Skills USA, the kids are doing technical competitions, kind of focused on automotive and small engines, but they also have those leadership skills that are all done at those district, regional, and state events. And the growth that you see once these kids are involved in Skills USA is just incredible. And, you know, we do in the lab, you know, we do a lot of group work. You know, there's like 3 students in a group, and, you know, we identify, you know, you are the lead technician today. These are, you know, we kind of incorporate it into kind of every day when the students are in the lab. But I think the Skills USA is a big component at the high school.
Boy, that's a great point. And being a part of Skills USA in Wisconsin for a really, really long time, the leadership conference, like they do some different things when we talk about confidence, to be able to get them exposed to different scenarios and different things that can help build that confidence in a young person. And I've seen it firsthand, and you can tell, you know, we'll go in there and do, whether it's the mock interviews or doing, you know, different presentations. You know, we always did a roundtable where the students could ask us questions, and you can kind of you see a lot of them for 2 years, or, you know, even over the course of their high school career, gain that confidence and then be able to take those leadership lessons, and those are really applicable in a shop. And until you really said that, it didn't click with me, even though I've been involved with Skills for 15 years at this point.
Yeah.
That is such a good point. Those leadership lessons learned there are hugely beneficial. All right, so we're getting a little close on time. I want to finish off with one last question for you, and then I do see we've got a couple of questions and that we can ask of the group here. But any final thoughts on setting students up for success after they graduate? We talked about a lot of stuff. If you had to summarize maybe some things that you would suggest to either high schools or tech schools on how we bridge this gap, how we make that number from the ASE Education Foundation shrink, less people exiting the industry, what type of advice would you give? And Buddy, would you mind starting there?
Sure. Just real quick. For me, it is staying in touch with the graduates. My passion, I've been here 4 years. My passion has been to develop an alumni association. I mean, a working, functioning alumni association. I've done it in high schools a couple of times. And I'm seeing a greater need for it. I've talked to several folks in different schools and everything. They say, well, you know, 8 to 10 years of a school in existence is a good time to do it and all this good stuff. But the reason I'm saying that is even this past week, I had an alumnus call me, said, man, you know, Mr. Buddy, I'm fixing to lose my job. I feel like they pulled me off of this and this and this. Some things happened that really, nobody really knows what happened. And so I told him, I said, well, you be a man about it, own what's yours and everything. And then the next day he showed up and they had him washing trucks out in 26-degree weather. Just, you could see a deterioration, and they were hiring some other people. And the first company he interviewed for up there told him, said, well, if you go to work there, that's, you know, that's your choice, but you got to be careful. And they had a history. So I talked to some trucking companies in that area that use them. They don't use them anymore. So long story short, if we wouldn't have built a relationship like the guys on this panel here have with their students, he would never pick that phone up and call my cell phone. And he did, and he'll be placed at a new job by the first next week. And for me, what we did, and not just me, but our instructors backed me up, and I'd ask them questions, and other folks on our team, our registrar and all this stuff. What that did is it didn't bring another one in the door, but it saved one. We didn't lose in the industry. And for me, that's that's a passion. If we can stay in touch with those young men, young ladies while they're out there, when they go through those rough times, let's hang on to them. Let's stay in touch with them. And I have a cell phone that is nothing but alumni, and they can call me anytime they need to. And believe me, sometimes they do.
That's great advice.
Yeah,
It is. And kind of in my mind, you're a Florida guy, Florida football coach. That's when the Miami Hurricanes were really, really good. They had one heck of a alumni
Yes,
coming back
yes.
and being able to support their program, right? So a lot of similarities between coaching and what we're seeing here. So I appreciate that perspective. John?
Me, it's simple. I'll give you 3 words. Probably the shortest answer I ever did is mentor, mentor, mentor. That's the bottom line, I think, Jay.
Great, simple, to the point, and easy to say, not easy to do. And I think a lot of shops out there, we've got to train these shops to be good mentors, right? As schools, we need to really teach them how to care for these students when you hand them off. And I think there's a huge opportunity for both high schools and tech schools to be able to kind of educate your consumers, if you will, make sure they know what they're signing up for and that they're doing their job to make sure that student's doing well. So great point, John. Miles, on the high school side, anything to add there?
Yeah, I agree on the mentorship piece for sure. But the other step of it, you just got to go to the high schools. Just go there. We need the help. And you just go there, show your face, and create that relationship, and things will blossom from there.
There you go.
A lot of relationships, right? The school student relationship, school business relationship. When it comes down to it, it is really a relationship game, and the more we can get that cleaned up, and the easier we can make that on everybody, I think the better our industry is going to be. So oh, buddy, go right ahead.
Miles, to encourage you, our leadership, our president, vice president, put out a decision they made yesterday. We're fixing to hire 3 more specifically high school recruiters, because they're going after the recruiting in high schools in Duval County, Northeast Florida, like crazy, because of several reasons that all of us have discussed here today. So hang in there, man. Some help's coming from somewhere.
Sounds great.
All right. So I've got one question here from Michael Craig, my friend Michael Craig, great program in Alabama. I've had the pleasure of getting to know him the last few weeks, and does a heck of a job. And we've had some talks about those relationships and maybe the lack of support from industry. So his question is, how many hours of contact with students do you have at a high school level? And I'm not quite sure I 100% understand that, but if somebody wants to hop in and take that, I would be more than happy to hand that off.
For us, the dual enrolled just varies. It varies. We can have dual enrolled come over here from some of the high schools for 2 hours, 3 hours. Even instead of now, they're jumping on board, just like Buddy said. I mean, the funding's starting to match over to the technical school. So we got them here all day instead of setting them in a gym and wasting their senior year because their credits are there. So we can have them all day. We can have them for a few hours. It's very, very flexible at the technical level.
Either of the two of you want to add anything there? Or did he hit it pretty spot on there.
He hit it, nailed it.
Not a guy. All right. Our time is up. The hour flew by. I can't tell the 3 of you how much I appreciate you taking time and sharing kind of best practices and really something that you all do really, really well. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And thanks to all of you that were able to join live. I know a lot of people, it works weird with school hours, so a lot of them will watch it after hours. But I do appreciate everything you guys are doing out there, the relationships that you're making, and really kind of the foundation you're laying for the future of this industry. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jay.
Thank
Awesome.
you. It was
Awesome,
wonderful.
Gentlemen.
Yep. And you guys tune into Tech Garage Saturday mornings, 8:00 on Motor Trend. Not because I'm on it, because I want you guys that's watching, everybody on there, to see how important education is, man. I do the same thing anybody in a technical school will do, and we're doing it on national television. So it's pretty cool. Probably any one of these instructors, Jay, that join you can do the same thing I'm doing. I'm just teaching and showing it, but people are starving for it. So it's really cool to see that. And that's what's going on out there.
It's a great show. Yeah. I'm glad you plugged that, because it is, I'm definitely a fan and have been even before I was able to meet you. So appreciate everything, guys, and I hope you have a great remainder of your week.
All right. See you. Thank you.